We're gonna give folks a couple of minutes to filter in, and then we will get started in just a second.
If you ever want to do a tour and walk around, let us know. Just to see our building. I know, Chris, you come here every day. And Alex, I know you've been to several events. Have you been here?
This is actually my first time at an event here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so the other one I did was the big event you guys had. This is 2 years ago. You had your big anniversary event.
Okay.
Yeah, downtown Raleigh. So.
Okay, that was the one you've been. Okay. So you have two newcomers. Okay. To the facility, at least. Yes, to the facility, yeah.
That's in the Army. Yes. All over the place. Most of it's been at Fort Bragg. Intentionally trying to stay there. I like the area, but I also did 2 years in Europe, 2 years in Korea.
Awesome.
So and bounced around the place, around those areas. So.
Do this. Awesome. Hi all. I know we still have a few people filtering in, but I want to make sure we have the full hour. Ooh, as I mess up my thing, the full hour for the panel. So I'm going to start doing my intro slides now, and we'll have people coming in as they do. One quick note before we get started and I introduce myself. This is a hybrid event, so we of course are here in person, but we do have folks online, so we will have time for Q&A after the panel. If you have questions, we'll be running around with a mic, so please do wait for us to get to you with that mic before you ask it. And I've told Crystal to tell you to stop talking if you don't have the mic with you. So my name is Pearl Sullivan. I lead community engagement here at the North Carolina Biotechnology Center, and in that role, I help plan these events along with Susan Langford, who you met when you came in. Career Development Network is a monthly event. We have in-person as well as online sessions, basically about, what are different things that may help you as you're in your job search. We do want to talk about a couple of resources before I turn it over to our wonderful panelists. So first, want to give a massive thank you to Kelly Science and Clinical. If you met Angela outside, she's wonderful, and she will be here after the session as well if you'd like to talk to her if you didn't get a chance or if you'd like to talk to her again. Kelly Science and Clinical is one of our largest sources of science talent nationally. So they are a staffing firm. They do both direct placement as well as contract roles, and a really great resource no matter what level you're at. They do work with roles at all from entry level all the way up to very senior. And as I said, Angela's out there sponsoring this event, so very grateful to them for that. Do you want to talk about a couple of resources that we have here at NCBiotech that may be helpful as you're looking for things? If you're online, I know that we are not sharing the screen right now. These will all be shared afterwards. So first, we do have a company directory. So this is on our website. It's pretty easy to find. Every single life sciences site, so all 860 companies, all of their sites here in the state of North Carolina are on this company directory. So that means that we're talking about, where are they? So you're able to kind of go in and see what's near you. We also have the number of employees, what they're doing at that specific site. And for our larger companies here, we do have a direct link to their employment site for that location. Next up, I want to talk about our Career Center. So this was one I keep seeing recently revamped. I think it was now like a year ago that we revamped it, but we do have a Career Center similar to a LinkedIn, and indeed we scrape for those 860 companies to get all of their jobs that are in North Carolina up on this website. The other thing I'd say here is first, we do work with a lot of startups and small companies. You'll hear a little bit more about that from Chris today. But if you're interested in that type of role, a lot of those companies do post directly to our career site as opposed to posting it somewhere else. The other thing is talent network. So we do have a talent network as part of our Career Center. This enables you to get email updates on jobs that might be open at companies you're interested in or fit your role, or fit your experience and qualifications. The other thing is some of those, especially those smaller companies, but any company that works with us can come to us and say, hey, on the back end, they're looking for somebody with XYZ qualifications, and it will show them, here are a few people, would it make sense to connect you? So we do have folks who have directly gotten hired through that talent network. So it's just another way to get your name out there. Plus, I get an email every time anybody gets a job this way. So it works out great for me. Want to talk about the community. Those of you who've been here before will have heard this before, but pretend you haven't. I'm trying to get off Instagram. I spend too much time on it. It's really awful. And what that's meant is I have now instead decided to spend all of my time on LinkedIn. I was active for 350 days last year. So while I am currently trying to reduce my dependency, I did want to talk about our LinkedIn group because this is a benefit to all of you. We do have a group. It's got over 3,500 people in it, all professionals, instructors, students, folks working in this space in North Carolina. They are across the state. And we post every job, every event, every resource that we think might be relevant for somebody looking for a job at any level to this LinkedIn group. So it's a great resource, kind of a one-stop shop for anything you're looking for as you're looking for a job. And then additionally, a great resource for being able to say, hey, this person is doing something I'm interested in. We're both in this LinkedIn group, and reaching out and connecting with them to learn more. Finally, I wanted to talk about the dish. So this is more relevant if you're looking at those entry-level manufacturing roles, but this is a newsletter that we send out bi-weekly. It just went out this morning, actually. And in it, we do events that are upcoming. We do resources that might be helpful, but the really key part of this is we include jobs that have been posted in the last week in every region of the state for that an entry-level person would be eligible for, right? So really trying to make it easy to find those roles and ensuring that they are actively recruiting. Finally, well, not finally, I think I have one slide after this. I want to talk about exchange groups. So congrats, you're all currently engaging in an exchange group. These are programs that we work with at NCBiotech. The vast majority are volunteer-led, and they really run the gambit. So we've got Women in Bio and Triangle Women in STEM, which are open to anybody, doing different types of networking events. We've got Triangle Biotech Tuesday that meets on Tuesdays at a different location across the triangle for pure networking. We also have other groups like ASQ, that's our quality focused group that is very, they'll have a session that is very focused on that type of work, right? So a real variety of opportunities here. I would check them out. You can go to the exchange group website on our website and find more information and sign up for the email lists of any and all of these groups that you're interested in. So would definitely recommend as, you're trying to think about connecting with people, and especially if you're new to the industry, learning more about what folks are doing and how they got into it. To that end, we do have the Career Development Network. So this is what y'all are already here for. I did want to do 2 quick flags with this. So first, all of our sessions, or almost all of our sessions, assuming we have permission from our speakers, are posted on YouTube after the fact. So the recording of this session will be shared with all of you afterwards. Additionally, our next session in July will be on AI for job seekers. So we have somebody, she's a career coach. She worked in HR at SAS for 30 years. And she'll be talking about how you can think about AI as a resource to build out, as you're thinking about your resume, applying to jobs, finding things. So definitely recommend that. That invite will also be included in the follow-up email with that recording. Okay, my last slide. We do have our careers and training site. So everything I've talked about today is linked on this website. This is that if you go to NCBiotech, it is right at the top of our homepage, really easy to find. And we have many other resources here too. So whether you're really new to the life sciences industry and want to understand what is a life sciences career, what does it look like, or you're trying to find the calendar of all the events that are happening in the region that we track on our website, to events, networking opportunities, any of the resources I just talked about, this is kind of the spot where you can find all of that. So we definitely recommend that as a place to start. So with that, I am going to turn it over to our panelists. I'll introduce them very quickly, but very excited to have them here today. So first up, we have Chris Luft. Chris Luft, PhD, has built a career across academia, government, and early stage companies, including roles at the UNC Eshelman School of Pharmacy, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, and biotechnology and clean tech startups such as Premier Plastics, Sire, Liquidia, Amorpha Technologies, and Articel Sciences. His professional expertise encompasses nanotechnology, engineered particulate vaccines, drug discovery delivery, stem cell engineering, reproductive toxicology, and chemical recycling. He has consistently stepped outside his comfort zone, developing a skill set that spans securing funding to advance new technologies from ideation to commercialization, leading large scientific programs of 50+ people, coordinating multidisciplinary teams across research and business functions, and managing financial strategies to support operations. Thanks for being here, Chris. Next, we have Alex Riccardi. Alex is a material planner and buyer at CSL Seqirus in Holly Springs, North Carolina, where he supports the procurement of materials used to manufacture seasonal and pandemic influenza vaccines. Originally from Pennsylvania, Alex served for 10 years in the U.S. Army with assignments in South Korea, Europe, and Fort Bragg. Following his transition from military service in 2024, he joined CSL Seqirus as a manufacturing intern and quickly advanced through multiple roles, moving from manufacturing to supply chain in less than 2 years. Alex holds a bachelor's of business administration and management with a minor in healthcare management from Campbell University and is currently completing his MBA at William & Mary. He is passionate about veteran employment, workplace inclusion, and helping others navigate career transitions. Alex lives in Spring Lake, North Carolina with his wife and daughter. Outside of work, he enjoys hiking, reading, and home improvement projects. Today, he's excited to share his journey from military service to the life sciences industry and the lessons he learned along the way. Thanks for being here, Alex. Jan Luther McDonald. Jan Luther was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. He attended Shaw University in Raleigh, North Carolina for college for a degree in computer information systems. He met his wife, who's actually here, Juanita, while there and started a family. They now have 5 children, Jeanette, Daniel, Grace, Jacob, and Deborah. Jan currently works at Amgen in Holly Springs as a manufacturing associate. He completed their apprenticeship program, which consisted of 1 semester of accelerated learning at Wake Technical Community College and over 2,000 hours of working on the manufacturing floor. Thanks for being here, Jen. And then finally, we have our very own Crystal Alexander moderating. So Crystal is a talent development and employee experience leader with 15 years of experience helping people and organizations grow through their most pivotal moments. She holds a BS in Human Resource Management and Finance from Florida State University, is completing an MS in Leadership and Human Resource Development at Louisiana State University, and earned her SHRM CP in 2016. Across biotech, finance, higher education, and hospitality, Crystal has built employee experience and leadership development strategies and guided organizations through acquisition, reductions in force, and crisis governance, with both compliance and human dignity intact. She is passionate about building equitable, high-performing workplaces where people and systems thrive together. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Crystal. Like I said, we will have time for questions at the end, so definitely be thinking about those. And thank you to our panelists for being here.
Yes, thank you all for coming, and thank you to our panelists. So we're going to kick it off. We heard a lot of your backgrounds and your extensive experience, but can you tell us a little bit about your experience in your own words?
I guess I'll start. So yeah, I just pretty new to the industry, only the past 2 years, but before this I was in the military for about 10, went right out of high school, and found myself after 10 years wanting to kind of move on to somewhere else, which led me essentially to here. And I have that guy back there to thank for it, Jake. He, in the MOVE program here, have helped me get an internship, which has now led to my career in supply chain, which has honestly just been phenomenal. Been an eventful year for supply chain. If anyone's in that career, you know how it's been. But what I've really enjoyed is just getting into this field, meeting the many amazing people, the many amazing groups that are around, and experiencing the culture that makes the biosciences a very great place to work and a great career for anyone interested.
So I've always been attracted to science. I moved here in 1996 to do my postdoc at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill at the Lineberg Comprehensive Cancer Center. And the thing I love about this professional career is in science, you are trying to figure out something that is unknown. And as soon as you generate data that is helping answer that question, you're the first person in the world to know it. I mean, that's pretty exciting. I just got goosebumps. But then, right, then you now have to figure out how to tell the story to get other people excited about what you figured out. That's what I love about science. Now, biotech then takes learnings from the lab and gets it into industry. If you are fortunate enough to actually have developed a therapeutic that's made it through all the clinical trials and is now being used for someone suffering from a terrible disease, you're making their life better, right? And to be able to work for a manufacturing facility that's cranking out therapeutics, that is making someone suffering from a terrible disease, making their life better, if that doesn't get you out of the bed every single morning, I don't know what to tell you. But I need to tip my hat to everybody in this room. You've taken the most difficult step when it comes to considering biotechnology. You showed up, right? So you're interested in doing something that's going to make a difference. So congratulations. I'm an open book. I'll be happy to answer any question you have. So thanks for showing up.
So, well, first, I won't have as many answers as this guy, but my transition into biopharma kind of echoes somewhat what he was saying when it comes to knowing what it is that you're doing for someone else. Sometimes even potentially for you, because as simple as you think, oh, my head hurts, I'll take an aspirin. Coming into this industry, you'll kind of know what it takes to make that aspirin, as well as some things that you probably should start to avoid. But I think, and for Amgen, they have what's called Amgen Week. And Amgen Week, what they actually do is they invite people who are actually taking some of their drugs to come in and actually give a testimonial of how it's actually helped them. And for, even though I'm kind of new, it still somewhat stood out to me that coming in, knowing that what it is that I'm actually putting my mind to do is really going to help somebody who may need to take a drug that really could save their life does push me out of the bed in the morning. Because to be able to say that I've touched that person over there that I have no idea was taking that drug, and then to see them actually come in and say thank you is enough for me to say I'm doing what I need to be doing. And it's not every day that you would think that you have a job where you would touch somebody like that, but to know that I'm actually doing that actually means that much to me.
Thank you all. I can definitely see the passion for life sciences and impacting people. And one of the reasons why I transitioned into the life sciences and my background, I started out in human resources straight from Florida State, got my degree in it in finance, and I had my stint in workforce development. And one of the things that helped me transition was when I really started about the impact that I wanted to make. And I started to research, okay, who's doing the work and extending and making STEM more inclusive, expanding it into helping people find careers in this pathway. And so on that search for refining what my mission was in my career, I found NCBiotech, and they were happening to be looking for a talent and culture development manager. So that's how I ended up in this position. So just wanted to ask you all again, you shared so much about your passion. Is what did you decide ultimately help you decide to pivot into life sciences?
Yeah, so for me, it was finding a mission. In the military, it's of course very specific. You're there for national defense, and in a lot of ways, what we do in the biosciences translates very similarly to that same role. We're essentially an arm of national defense, except ours are very, very small little enemies that can cause very big problems, as we found out a few years ago. So for me, it was, hey, I want a career that has meaning. I don't want to just be there for the shareholder. I want to be part of a bigger mission. And that's where, when I was getting out of the military, I was looking at two jobs that I'd lined up for internships. One was in the biotechnology field, and of course, one was in the trucking industry. And I said, well, where do I want to see myself? What mission do I want to have? And at the end of the day, I mean, it really puts things in perspective when your 6-month-old daughter is getting a vaccine that you had a part in making. And I think that's something that is very valuable in this industry, is you see what you're doing every day, working and making people's lives better. I know that when my family comes to our plant to get the annual flu vaccine, they're getting something that I know is the highest quality. I know they're getting something that makes their lives better. I know that's being spread out across the world. So it's very hard to find any industry in this country that has the level that we experience every day. And on top of that, being more in the manufacturing field, where we care a lot about things like manufacturing, we care about janitorial services, we care about quality. There's a lot of very broad career fields in this environment, and it's a spot where everyone can come in and contribute to make, essentially our country a better place and to have an impact on your community, both locally and at a much broader level.
So my story is a little bit different. I pivoted multiple times within life sciences. But after about 20 some odd years, I was back at UNC at the School of Pharmacy. I had a postdoc in my lab. Rascal, he's a polymer chemist. Yeah, so immunologist, chemist, dog, cat. We don't get along. But this fella was brilliant. He was so good that UNC wouldn't let him go. So they gave him a professorship. And he ended up in the brand new building on campus. Well, my lab ended up getting moved over there, so our collaboration picked right back up. He walks into my office one day. He goes, "Hey, can I talk to you?" Sure. He shuts the door. I'm like, "Oh, goodness." He goes, "All right, you know that early career award I got from NIH?" And so this is how unique this guy is. So NIH, you usually apply for grants, and it's for a very specific purpose, right? Well, NIH gave him a pot of money to work on whatever he wanted to work on. That's how good this guy is. He goes, "I've come up with a very unique way to chemically depolymerize plastic. And I want to start a company, and I want you to go with me. Because I've been in 6 startups. This was going to be my 5th, or it was my 5th. And it's the only one that I was a co-founder and a technology developer." So I was like, "Okay. I need you to explain chemical depolymerization. That's a whole bunch of polyunpronounceables already." So I said, "You have to educate me on what we're trying to do. So what is so unique?" He goes, "We have a unique heat source." It was a microwave. It's like, okay, I'm kind of intrigued. So we chatted. I say, "All right, if we've learned anything, if we are going to build a system that is going to address plastic that is polluting the earth, that seems to be a global crisis, go find a manufacturer that can make industrial sized microwaves." So he goes away, comes back. He goes, "I found 6 companies in China, a couple in Europe." Then on like the 8th page, there's industrial microwave systems, Morrisville, North Carolina, right down the street. So I say, "All right, so things are coming together." It's like, does it have a website? Does it have a phone number, contact person? Yes, yes, yes. We called the individual, had a meeting, sat down. The guy listened to our spiel. He goes, "I have everything I need to build you a prototype." 2 weeks later, he says, "Show up, it's ready to be run." So we ran about 1,000 liters of material. We took our product, took it back to the lab, analyzed it. It was perfect. All right, somebody's talking to me here. So we were talking about who we're going to talk to for venture capital stuff. The gentleman interrupted us, said, "I need you to talk to the guy that owns Industrial Microwave Systems. They're the largest privately held company in the state of Louisiana." Had a couple phone calls, went down there December of 2016. We left fully funded on one condition, that we both had to leave the university and focus 100% on the company. So I had to go home and talk to the wife and said, "I'm going to start a company. Can I do this?" She's like, "Go ahead. I know that's what you're passionate about." All right. So sorry, this turned into a long story. So I became a chemical engineer. We built our own system, ran our own system, and it kept getting better and better every time. COVID hit. We stared into the abyss, right? But we continued to fine tune our pitch. And lo and behold, through various contacts in the industry, we ended up touching base with a group out of Stockholm, Sweden, and ended up developing the technology and sold it in April of 2024. So the reason I'm telling this long story is I went from life science into chemical recycling, and now I'm back. And you know why I'm back? Because one of the first colleagues I ever had and the first startup I ever worked for now works here. And I hadn't talked to her in 20 years. I sent an email. She immediately engaged. We started talking again. And now I've got to come back into this industry that has a place near and dear on my heart. And I need to tell you guys something. This institution is one of the most remarkable facilities I've ever worked for. Not just the personnel here. They're here to support you to, embrace biotech. If you've gone to that website, there are over 2,500 jobs in biotechnology currently available that are listed on that website. The amount of time and effort the personnel here at NCBiotech are pouring into this industry is absolutely remarkable. So you need to utilize this place to help make your decision. It's not an easy one. Trust me, it's not. But you can get so much information from NC Biotech Center. The reason I was so attracted coming back, this is the perfect example of servant leadership. Everybody in here shows up to work to get you into this industry because it is so rewarding. So again, I'm here to answer any questions you might have. As you can tell, I like to talk, so I will shut up. But again, I couldn't be more excited that you're here, and best of luck to everyone.
Thank you. And we did not pay him to say that. Thank you. Jan Luther, so you pivoted into life sciences through an apprenticeship. What made that opportunity appealing to you, and would you recommend that path to others?
So I actually was working as a security guard for a life sciences place, and it's interesting when there are people who actually see that you like your mind is actually moving other than your body moving. Because like sitting at a desk for 8 hours a day, like was one of the worst things that I could ever do. It's great to have a job, but sitting at a desk for 8 hours a day, just looking at cameras and hoping somebody walks by to say hello is horrible. But there were some people that actually I had befriended who would come by the desk and talk, and you know, within conversation, somebody was just like, you know, have you ever considered doing something different than what you're doing? I'm like, I consider doing that every day. But like, what do you have in mind? And then they're like, well, with the way that you kind of talk about certain things, we know how your mind kind of moves. Would you actually consider getting into biotech? Because we know you're way smarter than what you kind of put off just sitting here. You know, you throw jokes out and everything when people walking by, and, you know, just to engage with people. So like, we like the fact that you're personable. So we would like for you to be somebody that we actually work with, because we know most of the work that is that we're doing, if you can read, you can do the work. Why not? I had started putting in some applications and everything, and there was a guy that I knew. Sometimes it's good to know people, who actually was at the company who actually moved over to Amgen. When I had actually put in an application at Amgen, said, you know, they're actually doing an apprenticeship program. Go ahead and apply for that too. Sure, you know, I'll try. Not anything, but I'll try it. Why not? So lo and behold, I had gotten into the apprenticeship program, which is great. I was one of 12 that was chosen out of maybe 2,000, 3,000 applicants. And that kind of just goes, well, let me step back. So if you don't have a degree, I'll say don't let that stop you, because I actually didn't finish my degree. I was at Shaw University for computer information systems, and I did not finish. So don't allow yourself to talk yourself out of doing something that you very well could, because some of these jobs, literally, if you can read it and follow the directions, you can do the job. The apprenticeship program, they actually build on BioWorks. So if you take your BioWorks and you get your certification, they've actually partnered with Wake Tech, where they put you through about 6 more months of a little more certification, and then you get to do about 2,000 hours on the floor in a particular area. And going through that process, which I'm at the tail end of now, was very rewarding because, one, I used to like science when I was little. You know, I do things here, do things there, hope that the house doesn't blow up. Thank God it never did. Um, but it really put me back in a space where I can actually say, oh, I know how that works now. Oh, I know what that means now. Because how many times have you gone into the hospital and you see a label on a bag and you're just like, what in the world is that? But to know that and coming into this industry, some of the stuff that you'll actually learn, some of those labels, you'll really be like, ah, that's what that means. So that's going into somebody's body. I know that that's safe, because sometimes as parents, you're looking at a bag and you sure that's safe going, my child? But it was really a good thing because even the schooling portion, they actually pay you like you're going to work. So it's not like you have to compromise whether you're actually going to join the program and go through the schooling part, having to worry about being in school and not being able to supplement for the income that you would have. Because while you're a part of the internship program, the entire part you're actually working for the company. So I think there are a few companies who have kind of gotten on board and started doing the apprenticeship programs, but it also puts you at a better place when you're coming into the company. Just having your bioworks, you may not really know a lot of the practical application for what you're learning. With the bridge between things with the apprenticeship, they give you the opportunity to get some of the knowledge and then come on site and actually apply the knowledge while you're going through it. So doing the apprenticeship program definitely is beneficial.
Thank you.
Crystal, can I follow up on one thing? So one of the most important things in all of our career paths is building relationships, taking the time to get to know the people that you work with. I mean, it's had a major impact, certainly on my career, certainly on yours. So look around the room. Today, take the time to introduce yourself to at least one person that you don't know. This is your new network. This is an opportunity for you to start building new relationships. You never know what's going to happen, but more than likely, if you're a light, right, you bring good energy, people are going to want to be around you, and that will pay benefits moving forward in your career.
Thank you, Chris. Alex, when you think about how you translated your military experience to the life science industry, how did you go about doing that, both in the way that you talked about your experience and how you put it to use in your current role?
So one of the big things is just finding the right tools and using them. We live in a world where now we have things like AI and stuff. And I tell you what, when you're trying to explain to somebody how you do your military job and put that into a science level, let me tell you, it gets hard. Like, how is messing around with C4 the equivalent of making a buffer or a media? But there's tools out there that will help you get there. And I was very fortunate that I had a lot of mentors that helped get me those tools and get me in the right direction. And like it's been said, you're probably gonna hear a lot from the three of us is building those relationships. The military taught me a lot on, you have your squad, you have your people who are by your side. And in this industry, it's the exact same thing. You have people by your side who want you to succeed. When I think about a recent application cycle we had a warehouse supervisor position, 800 applicants, and we had spots for 10 interviews. So I had everything locked in, had a former co-worker from the military, one of my squad mates hit me up and say, hey, I'm interested in what you do. I see you post on LinkedIn. I want to know about it. Talk to that hiring manager, got an interview next week. Those are the type of relationships you build. And I guarantee you, I think what I've learned in this industry and I learned about myself is we're all a little nerdy. We are very passionate about what we like to do, and we love to tell people what we like to do, and we love to explore those opportunities. So whether there's someone on LinkedIn, whether it's someone right here in this room, whether it's someone you meet on the streets, connect with them. That's something I wish I'd done much sooner in my career when I started. It's build those relationships, because that's how you're going to find those sweet spots in your career. It's going to be by, how am I the top of these 800 applicants? Probably because you know somebody who knows you and knows you're a right fit for their company. So really go out there and find these mentorship programs. That's something that this center itself does very well. It's having a lot of programs to help you build those networks and connections. Because in reality, it's not your resume, it's not your education, it's not your experience that will necessarily give you that leg up. Sure, they're very important, they're very helpful, but the people you meet and the impression you make on them is what's really going to get you that career and the career you want.
Thank you. So just a cue to stay around a little bit afterwards to make those relationships. So Chris, you've started and you've led many startups. Can you tell us how people can get involved in the life science industry, the startup ecosystem? And I'd also, since you've worn many hats, also people that are coming from operations backgrounds, human resources, marketing, finance, how they can be involved in Pivot as well.
So I think that's one of the remarkable things about this industry is every skill set that exists, be it from being a scientist to being an operator to being operations, finance, commercialization, marketing, it all exists in this industry. There is a place for you. It's just, what are you passionate about? So I can only speak to startup companies because that's really the only thing I've been involved in for the majority. Now, I did work for the federal government, which is not a startup company, but yeah. And yeah, I'm just going to leave it there. But startup companies, right? You're going to see a job posting and you're going to apply for it, and it's going to be for a very specific role. But if you choose to get in a startup environment, the most important question you can ever ask, especially to the founders, and it's going to be a lean and limited team, what can I help you do? Right? I know you hired me to do this, but we've got a lot of stuff to do, and I'm here to help. So don't think that you're only going to be locked into doing one thing in a startup company. Embrace all of it. Like, we were talking earlier, the more you understand about what that company's trying to accomplish, you might not know anything about analytical chemistry. I've done it. I don't know anything about it. That's okay. I was always helping run the HPLC because it is. If you can read the protocol, you can run it. And it was remarkably helpful. Anytime you can take stuff off of somebody's plate that is overwhelmed, or at least they think they might be overwhelmed, everybody's going to work together better because they know you've got their back. And that's what has always excited me about being in a startup company is you were hired for a particular skill set, but my greatest learnings when I would volunteer to take on a job that I didn't think I was qualified to do. So in that chemical recycling company that I helped build, I don't know anything about chemistry. I'm pretty good at operations, but we were working with an individual that was helping us build our pilot plant. But he had a full-time job. He was building equipment for his boss. And so all of our equipment started to come in, and walk in one morning, and it was like, okay, all your components for your PLC have arrived, right? This is all the computers and whatnot that are going to run your system. If it's going to be put together, you're going to have to do it because I'm too busy. He goes, how good are you at reading an electrical diagram? I'm like, guess I'm getting ready to find out. So, and that day, this gentleman, he was a licensed electrician. He brings out this roll of paper that was like 16 pages long, and he rolls it out on this table and he runs through 50 things. This way, and in about 2 minutes. I'm like, oh. He goes, you got that? I said, tell you what, tell me the first 5 things one more time, because it was like all cut and paste. And he goes, and I think I'm good. So he did, went away. He goes, come get me if you need me. All right. Stayed there all day. I thought I was doing the right thing. It's like, by the end of the day, I walk over to him and said, all right, I'm done. And he was a smoker, so cigarette down was a bad thing. He was like, you're done. I was like, yeah, I did everything you told me to do. Do me a favor, before you leave or when you come in the morning, please review what I did, and I'll come in the morning, I'll fix everything I screwed up. So I came in the next day, he goes, come here. I was like, oh, Lord. He walks over to that, thing of paper, and he flips it to page 2. Runs through 50 things. He goes, I'll be over there. Good luck to you. I wired that whole thing in 1 week. It was about $90,000 worth of equipment, and it was about 1/10 of our operating budget. So that was a big ticket item. I was like, okay, Don, I need you to take all your electrical doodads and make sure all this wiring I did right. He goes, no, that's not how this works. It's like, we're going to pick this thing up and we're going to go hang it in the box, and we're going to put 480 volts to it. And if it doesn't catch on fire, you did it right. Right? I was like, we've got 1/10 of our entire budget. I was like, oh, I don't know. If I had time, I would have called my mother because she's my prayer warrior, but I didn't have time. Right? So Don, cigarette up, standing in front of this big box with all our electrical doodads, 480 volts been hooked up. He goes, walk over there to the breaker box. When I give you the thumbs up, I want you to throw your breaker. It's like, okay. So I'll walk over there, sweating bullets. So he's standing there in front, and all of a sudden he looks over at me. He was like, and he takes 3 steps back, and he goes, do it. So I was like, oh, please, Mother Mary. Flip that breaker, and he started taking 3 steps forward. And so nothing caught on fire. And that machine, that whole thing, it's still operating as we did that day. So I'm a junior electrician, got my little badge and everything. Yes. So there are things that you feel like you're absolutely unqualified to do in a startup industry, and you don't know if you can do it until you try. And startup, I love, embrace the entrepreneur spirit just because it pushes me to try things and get better at whatever it is we're doing every single day. It is very empowering. So good luck to you if you choose to do something like that. Maybe stay away from all the electrical work, but
And this is our last question before we head into Q&A. But what is one piece of advice you have for people looking to transition into the life sciences? And I can start with you, Alex.
I would say plan it out, map out your career goal, because it is very easy to get overwhelmed with all the options that do exist in this industry. And it's very, you can relate to figure out the trail where you want to be a jack of all trades. And while in startups you will be that, at the same time, more developed businesses, what they're looking for is looking for specialists. They want people who know how to do things really well. I am a business major, tried and true. My wife and all her friends, all chemists. They make fun of me all the time. It's terrible. But what we're looking for is not people who can do almost everything. It's important that they have that flexibility to be able to help out across the broad spectrum. But what's important is that you know your job, you know it very well, and you find the certifications, the education, the qualifications you need to make yourself that number one candidate. You just come into work every day not thinking of, am I doing just the bare minimum I need at work, but am I always ready for that next level up? And that's something that, if it's Lean Six Sigma type work, if it's going for a new degree, don't just throw money different places and hope it sticks. Look up what that specialization requires, look up what your company needs, and fill in those gaps. That's how you're really go far in this career.
I completely agree and support everything Alex said. I don't want to be a specialist. I love being that jack of all trades. So that's why I never went to big pharma. I didn't want to be potentially, the go-to person for this one particular thing. I love doing it all. And that's, certainly people gravitate to different aspects of work. So I'm not going to tell you which of these, aspects of biotech to go to. This is a remarkable industry. This facility is here to help you make all those decisions, to put as much information in front of you so you can read through, generate data to hopefully make the best decision for you, right? So you can't ask too many questions. This is a major life decision, and God bless you all for thinking about doing this, right? There could be something better out there, and it could exist in biotechnology. But again, use this opportunity to now expand your network, ask questions. You're not going to be able to hopefully navigate this journey all by yourself. I mean, you have a room full of people here that are probably in the same situation you are, and that's empowering to know that you're not by yourself. So, use this center. It is going to make this journey a lot easier, and expand your network, because that'll also be very beneficial.
Oh, I didn't know if I would really need to say anything, But I guess my thing would be to not knock it until you try it. There's so many things that we learn in maneuvering through from what we can see when you're growing up. There's some spaces that you've been in that you wouldn't have known that you would have been in had you not tried it. It still applies today. There's so many things that the information is there for you. All you have to do is put yourself in position to use it. So just put yourself in the position for what you feel comfortable doing and what you think you might be able to do. And even if you don't think that you can do it, much like you said, if the information is there, you won't know that you can't do it unless you try. So this is your first step to trying something that might be new or might be your pivot into a different sector of what you're looking to do, but it's available to you. Try it.
Thank you. All right. So now we're going to start to take questions from the audience in person and online. So please feel free to raise your hand and we'll give you the mic.
Hello, my name is Maria Mendoza, and I'm an industrial engineer, and I have more than 20 years working in technology. And my question is, I know that I can kind of like adapt to a new industry, and I know that I'm going to be, because I'm being kind of like working with data, analytical skills, all of that, right? My question is, how can you put that in your resume that you want to do something different? I'm being, trying to kind of like because the problem is, right, that when you go, for example, I'm in technology, right? And if you don't know a specific technology, people already, when you are in the interview, right, kind of like they tell you already know, right, because you don't have experience with that specific technology. How can you help me put that in a resume that I want to kind of like try new things? I can use my industrial engineer. It's that in my DNA, right? I'm still kind of like I understand supply chain. I understand, how process optimization work, all of that, right? How can I put that into my resume that is not kind of like cut off in my, okay, you have 20 years specialized in this industry or in this technology? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone want to speak to this question? Yeah.
So you're halfway there. So, with your training, you now want to utilize all your training and apply it to something more meaningful, like bioinformatics and getting involved in the regulatory FDA submission. I mean, yours would be incredibly, I don't want to say easy, but transitioning your skill set into something more meaningful, something very meaningful in the biotechnology sector. Being able to data mine everything from clinical trials, getting it into the proper format so that the most appropriate report can then be generated for the FDA. You're a slam dunk. I'll write it for you tomorrow.
And yeah, I'll add to that is, and this is something that is a little humbling, but you have to be willing to do, is sometimes you need to take a little bit of a step down in where you think you should be in your career. When I left the military, I was not prepared to go into a manufacturing internship or to be a manufacturing associate. I'm like, I've managed multi-million-dollar budgets, I've managed people, I'm good. But the big thing, especially in this industry, is they don't want to put you into a spot where you end up in trouble or where they end up in trouble. And so a lot of times, when we talk about GXP, GMP, GDP, that's what they want to see when you're transitioning over is, can you do that? And that comes with integrity. So the big thing is demonstrating integrity, demonstrating passion, and then putting those in your resume in a way that makes sense to you. But not just that, but hey, maybe you're not going to go into a perfect direct reflection or even above where you are right now. Maybe you have to take a little bit of a step back, but you already know you can have a successful career. So take those skills you've learned, translate it into that new position. I guarantee you will still shoot up just as quickly. 2 years ago, I was a manufacturing intern. Now I'm one of the main directors in terms of all the material that comes into our plant for use. It didn't come because, I got into it right away. It came because I'm willing to take a step down, take what I learned in the past, put it to it. So don't be afraid to look at those positions that you might think are under you, and then jump into them, do really well, and you will, trust me, you will go far in the industry. We love lifelong learners. And if you're here, you probably are one. So take advantage of that. And that's what you need to really show in your resume. I will 100% want to hire a lifelong learner over anybody else. That's for sure.
Hey,
Good
let me
afternoon.
add, real quick. I want to add to her if that's okay. I have to. I'm sorry. Workforce development is my thing. So I'm the director of Move Boots to Biotech here at NCBiotech. So Alex Ricard is one of our first success stories. So it really warms my dad heart to see him up here doing his thing. But you asked about the resume, right? So within that professional summary, leverage AI to help you get that verbiage right. I'm just being honest with you. But I would sell it in that professional summary, that first headline, your elevator pitch on paper is what I refer to that as. And also, if any of the job postings out there are calling for a cover letter, make that your compelling story as well. You know what I mean? That's where you can really resonate with your passion, make that emotional connection on paper. As a hiring manager, I would read a cover letter before I will a resume, to be honest with you, because that's where I can make the connection with the job seeker. Does that make sense?
See,
Yep.
the personnel here at NC Biotech Center is here to help you guys succeed. I mean, utilize these people.
Hi. My question is, are y'all familiar with any returnships for liberal art generalists?
So
Oh, a return, do y'all know what a returnship is? It's like an internship, except for folks who have purposefully taken time out to caretake, like raise 5 sons through college commencement, like I did. Thank you.
congratulations, by the way. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but again, this is probably something you could engage the staff here, and you will get an answer real quick.
And can I actually, I'm going to add on to that question based on what we had online. For folks who have taken time out of the industry, I know this is a common question that we hear, whether it's for caretaking or for other reasons. Maybe their background is in the life sciences, maybe it's not. As you all are either engaging with folks or based on your own experience, how can folks talk about that in a way that it doesn't look like, oh, I haven't been working for 10 years, or can frame it as they're doing those applications? Does that make sense?
I would say to that, build your professional brand. Just because you're taking a little bit of a gap does not mean that you don't have to work on your brand. It might seem silly to put a little reminder on your phone to make a LinkedIn post once a week about an area that you're interested in. But those are things that matter. Even when you're having that off time away from work, show that you're interested in it. Because you can say, hey, I took 2 years to be a stay-at-home mom, or to take care of my parents, or whatever reasons you may have. But what's important to me is that I'm seeing that you are still interested in what you're doing. You're still developing yourself. And the easiest way to do that is just your brand and what you're portraying online. I won't say LinkedIn is the most important thing, but for any applicant that we have, I know the first thing we always do is look at their LinkedIn, and you can see a brief history of what they've done, what they're interested in. So that's a really good way to sell yourself. So just because you have a gap year or two doesn't mean you're out of the industry. You can just say, hey, if you're taking care of 5 sons again through college, hey, that's train the trainer qualified. That's you're good to go. So sell yourself. Like I said, Jake mentioned it with your personal statements and your resumes. Those are your selling points. You're going to get everything glanced at, but those first 5 sentences in any resume, sell it, and be truthful, be honest, share your experiences, and work on your brand. That's going to how you get far.
Yeah, just be a salesperson. This is an opportunity for you. I'm thinking just off the top of my head, to show your commitment, your ability to prioritize, and you're resourceful, right? So that is, and now you're looking to take all those skills that you fine-tuned over the last 10 years and put it back into, the workforce, back into industry.
And I would also like to add to that, to continue to look at apprenticeships and internships, because not all of them limit that to recent graduates or someone they have open-ended. So you can continue to look for that. And then also to the transferable skills, because you've been doing something. There are skills all throughout what you've been doing. And I've seen even people navigate the types of problems that they solved and presented it in that way in their resume.
Hi, my name is Patrick Falgu. I've spent 26 years working for a healthcare company, supporting medical imaging and licensing operations. And in parallel, I'm completing a clinical research degree at Central University, and exploring a career pivot. And I'm doing this now at 48 years old. So how do employees view experienced, mature professionals making this type of transition? And what advantages can a mature candidate bring compared to a more traditional entry-level candidate?
Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot. You don't have to answer if you don't want to, but would love to hear, as somebody who's applying for apprenticeship, as somebody who wasn't, like, you had a career, you had a life. Did you talk about that in your application? You can also say no to me and pass it to one of them if you want to.
It's very, very tempting to pass. But I would say don't discount yourself because of your age and your experience. If you know that you have a lot to offer, allow them to make that determination. Because a lot of times we would talk ourselves out of stuff just like you somewhat doing, and you never know that some of the stuff that you actually have to offer is exactly what they're looking for. So if you don't put yourself in that position, just like anyone who's at any level, if you don't put yourself in that position, you don't know whether they'll say yes or no. You said no for yourself. So just step out there and take the lead. There's so many times that what we would think, much like he was saying, I don't think that this is something that, maybe I can actually do. If you already have the knowledge, you know that you can do it. So why not put yourself in that place? You let everybody else who's kind of behind the eight ball because they don't have that experience, if they decide to choose them, so be it, because maybe they are looking for fresh minds. But it doesn't mean that you're not qualified. And if you know that you're qualified, go for it.
And you've already proven in your past career that you're able to transition all the way up, and it continue to advance your professional career in your prior situation. And now you're going to transition. So I would highlight, a project that you were involved with that you're very proud of, and your involvement in it and what you did, et cetera, et cetera. And now you're looking to transition to a new field and bring all that expertise with you.
And I'd say in terms of what do other employees think about it, it's out of the box thinking. It's some new, fresh ideas. And again, you're in an industry that values lifelong learning. We want your ideas to come in. So don't feel like, hey, I'm in the company for 2 weeks. I see something crazy. I want to come up with a new idea. You got hired on probably to come up with new ideas. Everyone is at the end of the day some type of owner in a change control or a CAPA or something to that extent. We value that external feedback. So a lot of times, yeah, we're going to look at whatever you have as a good idea coming from a new area. So.
And one of the most valuable lessons I've learned throughout my entire career is you usually learn the most from the people you have the least in common. That's why biologists hung out with 50 chemists for about 7 years, right? Because they were passionate about what they were doing. And it turned me in, so I'm a talker, yeah, but it also turned me into a really good listener because I had to figure out why they were so excited. And that's when my career completely took just a rocket ship trajectory on how I transition through my work life now. It's not about me, it's about the team.
Hi, I'm Anna Smith, and I recently got my PhD at Duke in psychology and neuroscience. But so pivoting to biotech would take me out of the behavioral research realm. But I guess my main question, it might be mostly for Chris, is to what extent are academic skill sets viewed as specialists or generalists when you're pivoting? Because I feel like I'm being pinned as a specialist, but since I'm pivoting out of my dissertation topic, I think I have more of a generalist skill set, and so I'm not really sure how to bridge the gap there.
Yeah, so again, this is to me, it's a really easy story to tell. All right, you prove to yourself you can do hard things. You stayed the course and completed a PhD, right? So you are able to accomplish very difficult things, and you are very regimented. I mean, you're a really good project manager. You know how to write. You're very creative. I mean, I can keep going on. So I appreciate the hesitancy, right? Because you feel like you're completely transitioning out of the industry that you feel as if you're trained for into something that you're not. You think you're going to be avoiding all the fun, psycho, crazy. You walk into life sciences, you're like, oh my God, I read about this in a textbook before, and I'm living it in real life now. No, you're uber qualified. Don't let that hold you back for 1 second. You can absolutely do this. I mean, if you're attracted to this industry, I would fully embrace it and best of luck to you and congratulations.
Any online?
I'll jump in. Ooh, we'll do here and then I'll do online.
Hi, I'm Dolores Johnson, and I recently relocated, like it's been 2 months. I came from an area without a job. The jobs there were very minimal, and family was down here, and they said, you really need to move. Everything is down here. You'll be able to find something. I am looking at transitioning from a career in HR, consulting, people operations. I'm a former vet. Hi over there.
Hey, let's go.
um, and I am seeing so many opportunities here, but making that jump from healthcare into biotech, I'm finding that that's a little bit of a challenge. They seem to want somebody who already has been in biotech firms, and I consider healthcare, I consider that biotech. It's not the nuts and bolts, it's not big pharma, but the experiences that we gave our patients and that we did to take care of employees during COVID-19, I know how flexible I am. So I'm really looking for, I want a company that's just awesome. And I'm just not familiar enough with the area to really know where those companies are.
I guess one thing I'll say to that, and I'll turn it over to you because you might know a bit more too. But if you're looking for a small biotech company, it might be harder. But don't be afraid to look at the bigger pharma companies too. There's a lot of them growing up in the area right now, and they are looking for people. And I know one of the things that's always in the front door when we walk in is putting the patient first. And you just need to show that, hey, I put the patient first in a more direct frontline role, and I'm doing it more in a manufacturing setting or more of a development setting. We value the skills. I think it's just knowing how to properly sell yourself. I think that's where this organization as a whole is very good at that. Jake right there can help sell yourself as a veteran, sell yourself as someone who's been in healthcare and how, hey, I just was a frontline worker. Now I want to be more on the development or manufacturing side. So it's definitely doable. It's just sometimes choosing the right buzzwords. I want to say that we look for in pharma. You put GXP somewhere, and next, oh yeah, GXP, that's great. Like, what's GXP? So, exactly. When you're in this field, it's things you hear all the time. But for translating acronyms like good manufacturing practices, things like that, that's what this place is for, is to get you there. So definitely meet up with the people here and feel free to reach out, I'm sure, to any of us on LinkedIn or however you want. And we're happy to also help you out because there's a lot of opportunities for growth right now. And sometimes just something simple as knowing the right person, having the right word on the resume to get you in the door.
Hey, let me jump in there and add something to that. Is that okay, Chris?
Absolutely.
I like
you're
to,
going to be the first person to say this has to be an immediate
yeah,
introduction.
yeah. I like to talk as well. I'll say from the job seeker lens, I think a lot of where we make our mistake is looking at it through the job seeker lens and not looking through the hiring manager lens. You follow what I'm saying? So I'll encourage our talent all the time to, when you read a job description, you got to look through the hiring manager. They've written that description. So write your resume, target resume to fit that description. They're giving you the answers on the test, right? And you know it. Like, when you read those job postings and you're like, man, this is me. This is my job. That's where that quiet confidence comes in. Not talking ourselves out of an opportunity, right? Because that energy resonates, attitude of gratitude, all the things. But when you read those job postings, think about it through the hiring manager's lens. What if I'm hiring for this position? What would I be looking for? And write that resume for that. That resume serves as one purpose, to get you to that next step, the interview, right? When you get in there to that interview, that's where you make that emotional connection. And if they like you, they'll hire you. Does that make sense?
Cool. For the last question, because we have 5 minutes, I'm gonna do a quick one from online. Somebody asked, y'all talked about networking a good amount and how those connections are really key, especially right now. How would you suggest going about connecting with people and building those relationships without it feeling too transactional or like you're asking them for something? How do you do that in a genuine way?
The first meeting is going to be transactional, but that is your opportunity to prove to the person on the other side of the table drinking coffee or beer or whatever that you're authentic. That, yeah, I do need your help, but, you know, I am going to do everything I can to help you someday too. This is a two-way street. I just don't need you to pour into me, right? I'm here to build my network. I'm here to continue to grow. Does anybody in here know what a Rolodex is? Yes, right. Oh,
Don't raise your hand. Don't raise your hand.
it is just an opportunity to build your Rolodex, build on that network, and authenticity, proving to them. So when I decided to go into business with my polymer chemist buddy, I said, all right, this is the foundation of this company. We don't lie, we don't cheat, and we don't steal, and we don't empower anyone that does any of those three. It's that simple. Surround yourself by people that have your beliefs, and it makes work so much more enjoyable. I've been through situations to where it wasn't as enjoyable, and it was because they were one of those three things. They were liars, cheaters, and they were stealing. And one for something. It's a terrible way to go through life. So yeah, I think the first meeting is always transactional, but it's building a relationship. You're collecting data. I'm sorry, I'm a nerd scientist, right? Positive data, negative data. It's all data. Don't ever think negative data doesn't mean something. It is just as powerful as the positive data, and it is going to help tell the story. So, yeah.
Yeah, like you said, except it's transactional. If you hit me up on LinkedIn, I know it's going to be transactional. You're contacting me for something. Accept it. You know, it's a big world out there, and we know that. When I was transitioning out of the military, hey, you're a vet, I'm a vet. Tell me how you did this right. And most of the time, you will get a yes, and it might be transactional. No one usually has a problem with that because, again, we like to talk about what we do. We like to help people out, and a lot of companies have really nice recruitment bonuses. So transactions go both ways. So don't be afraid to let that hold you up. Most people like to talk about themselves. You got a lot of talkers right here. So it is no problem to reach out to people. I don't think there's anyone I've ever met in this community that actually has hesitated to be reached out, even if it does feel transactional. Just make sure you have your ducks in a row. Make sure you go in there and here's my resume. Here's what I'm interested in. How'd you get to where you are? Because I want to be there too someday.
Yeah, I never took a job or decided to go to work to make friends. That was not my number one goal. It was a bonus if there were just people that I worked with that shared my values and I could be friends with. So it's work. It's how you build your professional career. There's a lot of it is transactional. And if, you know, you're fortunate enough to have some personal wins that come out of it, fantastic.
And the last portion I would say is genuine curiosity about the person that you're approaching, as well as intentionality, knowing what you bring to the table and what you're looking for from that connection. So they're not trying to figure that out.
Brilliant.
Cool. I want to give a massive thank you to our panelists. They will be sticking around hopefully for a little bit. If you all need to go, that's totally fine. Thank you. Shout out to Jake for helping with the mic. Yes. I also want to do a big thank you to Angela from Kelly Science and Clinical for sponsoring today. We greatly appreciate it. If you didn't talk to her out front before coming in, definitely recommend you do afterwards. She is a wealth of knowledge and such a great resource, and we're very grateful for you for being here. With that, thank you all so much for coming. As promised, this recording will be posted likely early next week and shared out with all of you who attended along with our introductory slides. But thank you so much again and have a great rest of your day. Thank you all.